welcome to my first crochet tutorial. In this video, I'll be teaching you how to make this cute ruffle cardigan. Her name is Dottie. This is a really great tutorial for beginners, for as long as you know your basic stitches already. Before we begin, I'd like to say that there is a written pattern available and you can find it in the Ko-fi link in the description. All the information about this pattern will be there, but to mention some, it has pictures, links to helpful clips, and more. It's a convenient option for those who don't like video formats, but you're not missing out if you decide to get the pattern or not in terms of information. Alright, let's get straight to the tutorial. Before you start the back panel, measure your bust area for your width and measure from your shoulder to your midrib for the length. Take your bust measurement and divide this number by 2 to get the width of your cardigan. My bust is 35.5 inches, so that's around 18 inches in half. Make your foundation chain based on that measurement and make sure it's a multiple of 3, then plus 2. So for me, I am chaining 83. Since 81 is a multiple of 3, then I add 2 to make 83. Again, this is for an 18-inch width, so do as many chains as you need, but keep in mind the math. Alright, once you're done with your foundation chain to your desired length, we can now start the first row. So start off by adding 3 more chains in addition to your foundation chain. Then we skip those 3 chains. Then on the 4th chain, do 1 double crochet. Chain 1. Then do 1 double crochet in the same chain. Here you just made your first V-stitch. Skip 2 chains. Then on the 3rd chain, do the same exact thing. So double crochet, chain 1, then double crochet on the same chain. Now we will repeat this pattern of skipping 2 chains and then adding 1 V-stitch for the entire row. I'll meet you at the end of the row. Okay, I am just doing my final V-stitches for this first row. And here's my last V-stitch. You know you did the math correctly if there is 1 chain left for the row. For that chain, just do 1 double crochet. And that's it for the first row. It's a little wonky for me, but it will straighten later. Alright, let's start with the second row. So, chain 3 for your turning chain. Now turn your work. Now we skip to the chain 1 space between the V-stitch below and do 1 double crochet. Chain 1, then double crochet around that chain 1 space again. So you just did a V-stitch on top of the V-stitch below. Skip to the next chain 1 space, then do 1 double crochet, chain 1, then double crochet again on that same chain 1 space. So it's kind of like we're putting a V-stitch in between the V-stitch of the row below, if that makes sense. So repeat that until the end of the row, and again, I'll meet you there. Alright, so again, I'm just finishing the second row with my final V-stitches. And I'm on my final V-stitch right now. Okay, to properly end off the row, just insert your hook on the chain 3 we first made. Just put it on the 3rd chain that we did. And then just do 1 double crochet. So basically, we start and end with a double crochet. The chain 3 turning chains count as a double crochet. So we're done with the second row. The third row onwards is basically a repeat of the second row, but for clarity purposes, let's just do row 3 again together. So chain 3 for your turning chain, turn your work, and skip to the chain 1 space of the V-stitch below, do 1 double crochet, chain 1, then double crochet on the same chain space. Then repeat that process for the entire row. So for my length of 11.5 inches, I'm going to do 27 total rows. But again, you can do as many or as little rows as you need depending on your own measurements. Alright, I did some crocheting off camera and now I'm on my last row doing my final V-stitches. If you're a beginner, I just want to show you guys how I like to fasten off. So here's my last V-stitch. Again, you do 1 double crochet on the turning chain to end off the row, like that. Then chain 1. Then leave a long tail for sewing in later on. Then, like that, we cut the yarn. Then just pull your hook to pull through the yarn, then tighten tightly. Tighten tightly. Okay, so I'm just going to show you my measurements again. So take your measuring tape, and yeah, my width is exactly 18 inches. And then the length is, what do you know, exactly 11.5 inches. Alright, and we're done with the back panel. Okay, for the front panels, it is the same thing as the foundation chain of the back panel, except we just have to divide the back panel chains in half. So it was 83 a while ago, so in half that is around 41, but make sure the number matches the math. So again, a multiple of 3 then plus 2, so that's 39, then plus 2 to make 41. Okay, for the first row, or I mean for majority of the front panel, it's going to be the same as the back panel. So chain 3, skip those 3 chains, then double crochet on the 4th chain, chain 1, then double crochet on the same chain, skip 2, then do another V-stitch. So for the first row until the 19th row, it's basically just the same as the back panel. But on the 20th row until the 27th row, we're going to decrease. Now, if you have a different number of rows, just leave like 8 to 10 rows allowance from the top for decreasing. But yeah, that's basically it. So I'll meet you on the 20th row. Okay, I am on my 20th row. I just finished the 19th row. To start, let's do 3 chains. Then turn your work. Now we decrease this first stitch. To decrease, just go to the first chain space and do 1 double crochet. That's it. For the next stitch, just do a regular V-stitch. So basically how to decrease is replacing the first V-stitch into just 1 double crochet. Then for the entire row, just do a V-stitch every chain space like we've always done. So yeah, that's basically it. I'll meet you on the 21st row so that I can show you how to decrease on the other side. Alright, I am on my 21st row, just finishing up. Just continue your V-stitches until you're on your very last V-stitch. As you can see, I have 1 V-stitch, then 1 double crochet right beside it. On that V-stitch, just do 1 double crochet on the chain space to decrease. Then skip that double crochet and go to the chain 3. Then just do 1 double crochet on the chain 3. So that's how you decrease on the other side. And now for the remaining rows, just alternate between the 20th and the 21st row, depending on which side you are, to decrease. And yeah, just stop decreasing when you end the row. So again, for demonstration purposes, I'll show you how to decrease again after this row. So chain 3, turn your work, skip that double crochet and go to the first V-stitch, and on the chain space, do 1 double crochet. Okay, so that's how you decrease again after the 21st row. Then just continue doing your V-stitches. So always ignore the double crochets and go to the V-stitches immediately. Okay, you don't do stitches on the double crochets. And yeah, that's it. Just continue on until you end your rows. Boom, okay, I'm already on my 27th row. I did not stop decreasing, I just kept alternating between row 20 and 21. So if you left the correct amount of rows, you don't have to stop decreasing. And here I am, I'm just going to do my final V-stitches before I fasten off. Okay, and then I just double crochet on the chain 3, chain 1, then fasten off. Okay, so this is what the front panel is supposed to look like. If you're wondering how you're supposed to do the other side, well, it's really simple. Just do the same exact thing, except you just flip it over when you're done. See? So I already did the second panel for you guys, so it's the same exact thing, except one is just flipped to the other side, so you don't have to change any of the instructions. So yeah, we're done. Alright, now it's time to stitch the front and the back panels together before we move forward. I'll just try to quickly teach you how I know how to do it, but there's so many tutorials out there and so many ways on how to stitch panels together. So starting on the shoulders, make sure that the good side of your back and front panels are facing outside and the good side is facing inside, because we'll flip it inside out. So align the shoulder part, and I like to use the tail ends, but you can use a separate piece of yarn. Same process. So if you want to copy me, make sure your tails are really long. So insert your hook into the corner part of both panels. So the stitches are very visible on the shoulder part, so it's really easy. So pull through your yarn and then chain 1 to officially attach it to both panels, especially if you have a separate piece of yarn. Go to the next stitch and again make sure you insert your hook onto both panels like that, and then do a single crochet. Well, at least I like to do a single crochet. You can do slip stitches if you want. Then go to the next stitch. This one's a chain space, so I just go under both chain spaces, and then I just pull through a loop and do a single crochet. So it's basically the same thing until the end of the front panel row. You will know when it ends because it starts to decrease, so you can just stop there. And yeah, that's basically how you stitch panels together. Alright, I just finished this shoulder part on the right hand side. Just repeat the process on the left hand side. For the shoulders, you can also use the tail ends. Just flip the orientation of your cardigan backwards. You get it. Or you can just use a different piece of yarn, like I said. You'll just have more tails to weave later, but yeah. Once you're done with the shoulders, it's time to move on to the sides. Take a separate piece of yarn and make a slip knot. Like so. Leave this loop, and let's start on the left hand side. So attach the corners and align them properly. Then just kind of insert your hook on the very corner that you can find and fish through this loop into that corner. Like so. Then to attach your yarn, just chain 1. And similar to the shoulders, I'm just going to do single crochets. But since there's no visible stitches, you can see those gaps. I'm just kind of loosely stabbing my hook into any gaps I can see that's close to the edge. So here's one big one. So for the bigger gaps, I put 2 single crochets. Then for the smaller gaps, I put just 1. So yeah, it doesn't have to be super perfect. You don't have to do it super tidy. Just make sure that the panels are aligned and you're not doing too much single crochets into one space. So yeah, I do 2 single crochets on the big gaps, then 1 single crochet on the small gaps. So yeah, once you're done stitching the sides and the shoulders, you can flip your cardigan back to the correct side, then poke your hook into the armpit area of the sleeves. It just has to be as close to the edge as possible, and we can start the first row. Okay, to attach your yarn, just make a slip knot and then fish this loop with your hook through that armpit area we just poked through. And then chain 1 to attach the yarn officially. Chain 2 more and we can start the first row. So you can see around the rim of the sleeve area, there's a lot of the gaps. In those gaps, we're going to put 1 V-stitch. So that's a double crochet, chain 1, and then double crochet again. So the gaps are usually chain 3 spaces or double crochets horizontally. So only mind those gaps and put V-stitches on those gaps. Ignore any other gaps you see so that everything is spaced evenly. And that's it. I'll meet you on the end of the first row. Alright, I am about to end my row. Here's the last gap, putting my last V-stitch. Then to attach it to the other side, just find the chain 3 space and then do a slip stitch. And that's how you end the first row. Do 3 more chains and then we start the second row. So the second row is the same thing we've always done. So on the first chain space, do 1 double crochet, chain 1, then double crochet on the same chain space. And that's your first V-stitch. Then yeah, just keep on doing V-stitches on the chain spaces. And when you reach the end of the row, same thing, slip stitch on the chain 3 space. And that's how you do every row here then on. So do as many rows as you need. I will do 13 total rows. Alright, I'm just finishing my 13th row or however many rows you have for your sleeve length. Don't fasten off yet, we have more rows to go. I'm just going to show you the measurements for your guidance. So for me, I think I have a 9-inch width. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, around 9 inches, and then the length is 6 inches. But it's gonna be longer than that since the shoulder does drop off a bit when you wear it. So be mindful of that. So let's start the 14th row. This row is a bit of a trial and error. It's really up to your personal size, but I'll show you how I do it. So chain 2 more. Then this is the pattern for my arm width. So I skip 1 V-stitch, then I do a half double crochet on the second V-stitch. Then I do another half double crochet on the next V-stitch. But then I skip again the V-stitch after that. So it's basically like 2 half double crochets, then skip, then 2 half double crochets, then skip for every V-stitch, if that makes sense. So it really depends on your arm size and like the width of your sleeve, like how many rows is the width of your sleeve. So yeah, there's no straightforward math, it's really just about guessing. Alright, I am just about to end the 14th row, just doing my last half double crochets. Alright, when you get to the end, just find your chain 2 that we started with and slip stitch on those chains. And that's it. Just chain 1 and then I'll show you what it looks like. As you can see, it looks very scrunched up. That's what we want. Right, going back to start our last row, just chain 1 more for a total of 2 chains. Then this is super easy. All you have to do is find the half double crochet stitches and do 1/2 double crochet per stitch. That's it. No increase, no decrease. Just 1/2 double crochet for every stitch that you've made to add like another layer for later. So yeah, I'll meet you at the end of the row. Alright, almost done with my last row. Slip stitch into the first chain 2 that we've done, chain 1, and then fasten off. Like so. And you're done with one sleeve. Now, I'm just gonna show you what the sleeve is supposed to look like. Okay, here we go. That's what it looks like from afar. A very cute puffy sleeve. Again, you have to repeat the same process for the other side. But we're basically done with the sleeves. It's time for the next part. Boom. Okay, once you're done with your other sleeve, we can move on to the next part, which is the bottom flare. Alright, so flip your cardigan upside down, like so, and you will start on the left side, right here on this corner. So insert your hook on the corner stitch, or the very last chain of that row. Then we're going to again attach our yarn, so do a slip knot, like this, right? And then fish the loop into that corner foundation chain. Oops. Like that. Okay, and then we're going to chain 3 to start the row. Okay, so on the first gap, I like to stitch around the chains, not into the chains. Right there on the first gap, go around that chains and do 1 V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, then double crochet on the same chain gap. Then, we're not done, chain 1 again, and then double crochet on the same gap. Like so. So when you look at it, it's like 2 V-stitches into 1. That's what you call a V-stitch increase. Okay? So again, move on to the next gap that you see. Double crochet, chain 1, then double crochet again to make 1 V-stitch, like so. And to make the increase, do 1 more by chaining 1 again, and then double crochet again in the same chain space. And you have your V-stitch increase. So for the whole bottom rim of the cardigan, until you reach the second panel, we're going to do V-stitch increases for every gap. Alright, I am on the other side of the cardigan, onto the right hand side of the panel, doing my last V-stitch increases for the row. Then I'll show you how to end the row. Alright, I am reaching the end of the row. It's up to preference, but for me, I played around a bit and I decided to end in a V-stitch increase. But I did end up ending in a double crochet for the other rows. So I'll just show you how it works if you don't want to end in a double crochet. So here I ended in a V-stitch increase, no ending double crochet. I immediately do my turning chain, so I chained 4. Okay, and then I flip my work. Then on the first chain space, I did 1 double crochet, and this would give me 1 V-stitch immediately. Yeah, that's 1 V-stitch. Then on the second chain space, I do a V-stitch increase. So we have a different pattern for this row. Okay, doing my second V-stitch for the increase, there we go. And then for the next chain space, I only do 1 V-stitch, Yeah, one V-stitch. So for the first row, it was a V-stitch increase for every gap. For this row, for every chain space, we'll do alternating. So one V-stitch, then one increase. One V-stitch, then one increase for every chain space. And that's it. I'll meet you at the end of the row. Alright, I'm about to end my second row. At this point, it should be really curly. Alright, on the chain 3 that we first did on the first row, just do one double crochet. And that's how you end the row. Alright. See, it's really curly. Let's start the third row onto the 8th row, or however long you want your flares to be. It's gonna be the same instruction. So this row onwards is super easy. All you need to do is just do one V-stitch for every chain space. That's it. So on the first chain space, just do a double crochet, chain 1, then double crochet on the same chain space. Move on to the next chain space and do a V-stitch. So no increasing, no decreasing anymore. Just do rows and rows and rows of V-stitches. One V-stitch every chain space. Just so that it gets longer and longer. Yeah, but the ruffles are already as curly as I like it. But yeah, do as many rows as you want. I will do only 8 rows. Boom, okay, I am on my 8th row. Again, just do rows of V-stitches, no increasing, no decreasing. It's just like the back panel all over again. On the chain 3, I just insert my hook and do one double crochet to end the row. Alright, and yeah, chain 1, fasten off. Alright, and after that, here is what the bottom flare is supposed to look like. Now we move on to the next part, which is the cuffs. Let's start with the inner cuffs, since there's 2 layers to this. So, find that armpit area again, right there. Then attach your hook onto the chain 2, that's kind of sideways now, and then attach your yarn. I did the lazy way, but you can do the way we've always done. And then chain 3. Now, on the first half double crochet, we are going to do a V-stitch increase. You know what, I'm just going to spoil it. It's very similar or exactly the same as the rows that we've done for the bottom flare. So the first row is going to be fully increases. And you already know how to do that. So do your regular V-stitch, but do another chain and then double crochet again. Now we're going to skip one half double crochet and then do an increase again. So that's the pattern. Increase, skip, skip. But the whole row is just increases. So I'll meet you at the end of the row. Alright, I'm about to end my first row. Again, increases all around. This is my last increase, and again, to end the row, just slip stitch into the first chain 3. And now we can start on to the second row. So again, so here's how it looks like. Alright, again, we're going to chain 3. And similar to the bottom flare, we're going to do the pattern. So first, we're going to start with an increase, like so, on the first chain space. Okay, then one more V-stitch, chain 1, then double crochet on the same chain space. On the next chain space, we're just going to do one V-stitch. And yeah, like the bottom flare, the second row is always the pattern. So increase, no increase, increase, no increase into every chain 1 space. So do that, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Alright, about to end the second row. Then again, just slip stitch onto the chain 3. Now, we know the drill. Once you're done with the first 2 rows with increases, obviously the next row or the last row for the cuff is just one whole row of 1 V-stitch per chain space. No increases or nothing. Just 1 V-stitch per chain space. So that's a double crochet, chain 1, then the same chain space, do 1 double crochet, then move on to the next chain space. And that's it. That's the last row. And yeah, I'll just meet you at the end as always. Alright, ending up my last row for the inner cuff. Then again, just slip stitch into the chain 3. Then to fasten off, just chain 1, then cut your yarn. Alright, now let's start the outer cuff. Again, find the armpit area. We always start there. And insert your hook under the HDC posts, like the vertical lines under the inner cuff. Just stab it under and take your white yarn or your accent color, then pull the yarn under that post, then chain 3 to attach it. Like so. Then we're going to do a V-stitch increase. So again, go under the post, then do 1 double crochet, chain 1, then go under the entire post again, then do 1 double crochet. Then to increase, just chain 1, then do a double crochet around that post again. So we're treating this post as like a stitch, but we're going around it. Alright, we're going to skip 1 post, go to the next post, and do an increase again. So again, stitch around the posts. So similar to the inner cuff, we're going to do V-stitches every other stitch or post. So I'll meet you at the end of the row. Alright, I'm about to end the first row of the outer cuff. That's what it's supposed to look like. Then just slip stitch again onto the chain 3 we first made. Alright, and then the steps for the second and the third row is this exact same as the inner cuff. So for the second row, we're just going to do alternate between an increased V-stitch and a normal V-stitch for every chain space, like we've always done. And then on the third row, just do 1 entire row of 1 V-stitch per chain space, as per usual. And yeah, that's it. I'll meet you when I'm done with the outer cuff. Alright, I'm about to end my third row. I hope you don't mind that I skipped through the rows since it's literally the same exact explanation. Only the first row is different. So, sorry if I'm getting lazy. But yeah, slip stitch into the chain 3, chain 1, and fasten off, and you're done with the outer cuff. It's so freaking cute. I love the tiered layer looking thingy. Obviously, we're going to repeat this entire steps onto the other side. So that's 1, that's 2. Once you're done with that, we can finally go to the next part, which is the ruffles on the bottom flare. Alright, flip your cardigan upside down, and we're going to start on the V-stitch rows. They're upside down right now, right above the bottom flares that we made. So insert your hook onto the chain 3 on the side and attach your accent color. Spoiler alert, what we're going to do is literally the same thing as always. We're going to start the first row with increases, but it's gonna be structured differently. But they are increases, so I'll show you. So as you can see, you can see the V-stitch lines that compose the V, the letter V. They're just upside down. So on the first side, we're going to do 1 V-stitch. So similar to what we did with the outer cuff, just go around the post. Then, instead of increasing, we move on to the next side of the V and do one V stitch. So if you think about it logically, we're putting two V stitches onto one V stitch, onto one upside down V stitch. Do you get me? Hopefully that's not too confusing. But yes, we are increasing. It's just not the usual way we're doing, okay? So again, move on to the next V-stitch side and then do one V-stitch per side. So it's kind of like we're doing regular V-stitches, but we're doing double the amount for the entire row. So do that until the other side and I'll meet you there. Alright, now I'm finishing up my first row. Then on the last chain 3, we're going to do a double crochet. Now we start the second row. So again, it's going to be the same pattern that we've done for the cuffs and for the bottom flare. So after increasing for the whole first row, we're going to do the increase, no decrease pattern. So we're going to increase onto this first chain space. Chain 1 and then do another double crochet and then just move on to the next chain space and do one V-stitch. So alternate between the two, and this is your last row for the ruffles. And alright, you know the drill. At the end of the row, just insert your hook on the chain 3, then do one double crochet to end off the row, fasten off, and that's it for the ruffles on the bottom flare. Super cute detail. I really love this part. But we can finally move on to the collar area. So I start on the left hand side and find that row on the front panel where we started decreasing. So that's mine, and go right above that. So on the second row where we started decreasing. Then attach your yarn on that gap on the edge by chaining 1. Do 2 single crochets on the same gap, like so. And then we're going to do a picot stitch. So to do that, just chain 3. Then on the front loop of the single crochet we just made, like that, we're going to slip stitch to create this like curve shape. Then do 2 more single crochets on the same gap. So in total we did 4 single crochets on the same gap with a picot stitch in the middle. Repeat that onto the next gap that you see. There's really obvious big gaps, so it's really easy to point them out. So again, 2 single crochets, 1 picot stitch, so chain 3, insert your hook onto the front loop of the single crochet, then slip stitch. Then again, just do 2 more single crochets on that same gap. Do this same pattern for the front panel. I'll meet you at the back panel because it's a slightly different pattern. Alright, I've reached the back panel part and we're going to start onto the first gap that you see, the one in between 2 V-stitches. So we're going to do the regular 2 single crochets, then 1 picot stitch. Insert your hook onto the front loop, slip stitch. Then we're going to do just 1 single crochet on the same gap. Move on to the next gap, which is a chain 1 between 1 V-stitch. Then do your usual 2 single crochets, then 1 picot stitch. And then do 1 single crochet on the same gap. So instead of doing 4 single crochets into 1 gap like we did on the front panel, we're only going to do 3 single crochets because the gaps here are smaller compared to the front panel. So yeah, there's less space that we need to cover. So just keep doing that until the end of the back panel, and I'll meet you when I'm on the other front panel. Alright, I'm on the other front panel now. Make sure that you go back to the pattern that we did on the other front panel, which is 4 single crochets onto 1 gap, then pick a stitch in the middle. That one I said a while ago was just for the back panel. So here's my last picot stitch. Guys, I love the picot stitch. It's such a cute little detail. It's kind of giving like a vintage vibe to the cardigan. Alright, on your last single crochet, oh, that's what it looks like. I'm going to do 1 chain and that's it. Fasten off. And we are officially done with the collar area. Alright, and that is what the collar is supposed to look like. We are finally on to the last step, which is the laces. So I'll teach you the top laces first, then the rest of the laces are the same exact instructions. So starting on the right hand side, insert your hook on the first decreasing row, or the row below the picot stitches. Then attach your yarn like, as usual, just chain onto that gap and then chain 2 more, because we're going to do double crochets. So this chain 3 we did counts as a stitch. So do 3 more double crochets on the same gap. So that's 1, 2, then another 1, 3. So in total there's 4 double crochets, because again the first chain 3 counts as a double crochet. Now we're going to chain 3, then we'll turn our work. So again, since the chain 3 counts as a double crochet, we're going to skip the first stitch and work on the second stitch. So we're going to do 1 double crochet, then onto the next stitch, then work a double crochet on top of the chain 3 we did below. So just insert your hook there and do a double crochet. So that's 4 double crochets in total. Alright, I'll do it one more time. So that's chain 3, then skip the first stitch, then work a double crochet on the second stitch until the chain 3 that we did below. In total, I will be doing 27 rows, but you can do as many rows as you want depending on how long you want your laces, but for me I think 27 is enough. Alright, I'm about to end my 27th row for the laces. Just fasten off your yarn. Gosh, that was a bad cut. Anyway, tighten up, and that's it for your first lace. Now we can go ahead and I'll teach you how to do the other side. Same instructions, but we're gonna start off differently. Alright, just go onto your left hand side and insert your hook again on the first decreasing row, or the row below the picot stitch. But this time we're gonna start from bottom up. So chain 3, then just do your 3 double crochets on the same stitch. So the difference is we started top bottom for the other side, but this time we'll go from bottom to top. But yeah, same process, chain 3, skip the first stitch, then work 3 double crochets, including the chain 3 below. And that's that. Just go back and forth until 27 rows, then repeat that step for the center and on the bottom part. You can put your laces anywhere you want. You can put as much laces as you want as well. And OMG, this is what the laces look like all complete. Again, you can do just 1 pair of laces, or you can do 3 like I did. I think this is really cute. And yeah, that's what it's supposed to look like. Just weave in your ends and we're finally done. Thank thank you so much for watching until the end. This is my first crochet tutorial, so if there's any suggestions you'd like to say, then just put them in the comments below. If you support me and love my design and want to see more from me, consider subscribing or following me on Instagram or sending me a coffee. The link to my Instagram and my coffee will be in the description below. I'd love to see your designs, so tag me at Tamagi Crafts in Instagram or any platform. And yeah, I hope I see you in my next tutorial, and thank you again for watching.